Chinese officials estimate the country now has nearly 1 million voluntary organ donors. A National People's Congress deputy wants to boost that number by allowing potential donors to sign up when applying for identification cards. Chris Thomas is CEO of Transplant Australia and the president of the World Transplant Games Federation. Welcome to our show.
Hi there, Elaine. Lovely to be with you.
Well, Chris, we know that China has been trying to reform organ donation in recent years. What kind of changes have you noticed?
Well, organ donation and the problem of having enough organs is a global problem. It's particularly prevalent in a lot of Asian nations where, as you mentioned before, there are significant cultural differences and just people coming to the understanding of what donation after brain death is. And so it's very important that we promote to all of the world, but in particular many of our wonderful Asian nations, the concept around brain death and the fact that there is a disconnect between the brain and the rest of the body, and that person's life is no longer sustainable. And it's from those potential donors that the best organs can be retrieved and can give new life to people who are waiting desperately. Really, they are terminally ill and they do need to receive an organ desperately to be able to start a second chance.
So what more needs to be done in terms of educating people and bringing more awareness to kind of get people to understand this issue and get them to be organ donors?
Well, one of the best things that the World Transplant Games Federation does is stage really the world's most inspirational sporting event, and it's called the World Transplant Games. It's an opportunity for transplant recipients to say thank you to their donors, but also to be healthy and active around their transplanted organ. Those World Games are going to be held in Newcastle in England in August of this year. There's a team of about 20 people from China who will be coming to the World Games, along with many other transplant recipients from across Asia. And by casting the spotlight on their successful lives and what they're doing with their precious gift, we believe that we can better promote the gift of life and the importance of the gift of life to all of our nations, and to encourage people to register to become an organ donor.
You mentioned that there is still this stigma culturally around the world. Is it getting better? I mean, is there some headway being made?
Well, we look at statistics across the world and we look at the donors per million head of population. I'm sorry to give you that stark statistic there. Spain sits at around 40 donors per million head of population. That's the world's best. Australia currently is at 22 donors per million head of population. We're on a journey of improvement, but we have some way to go. America is around 28 to 30 donors, so they're better than Australia, but not as good as Spain. In contrast, China currently sits at 4 donors per million head of population. So that tells you the significant journey that that country in particular has to go on. But many Asian countries have got a lot of work to do to gain the confidence of their people, to encourage people to sign on to be registered organ donors, and to give people confidence that the system will work to ensure that, one, that they are literally brain dead and their life cannot be sustained afterwards. So that's a myth that we need to work on, and to ensure that there is a very transparent program to ensure that the persons or the people that most need the transplant do receive those organs.
All right, Chris Thomas, great information in Sydney. Thank you for joining us.